When my grandma passed, she left me her $50 million hotel empire. But the moment the ink dried, my mom's new husband took control and he told me, "You're too young. Sit down." So I showed him what a real heir does. I always believed my grandmother, Eleanor Hart, was unshakable, the kind of woman who could build a $50 million hotel empire from nothing and still remember every employee's birthday. So when she died, my world cracked. But what came next shattered it completely. I sat in the lawyer's office, hands shaking, expecting nothing more than a sentimental necklace or a handwritten letter. But then the lawyer slid a thick envelope toward me. "Your grandmother left the entire Hart Hospitality Group to you, Ms. Eleanor Hart." For a moment, sound disappeared. My mother gasped. My sister froze. And my mom's new husband, Derek, leaned forward like a vulture spotting a wounded animal. Before I could even breathe, he said it. "Obviously, Eleanor can't handle something this big. She's, what, 30? A child." He looked at me with a smirk. "We'll take care of things until you're mature enough." I stared at my mother, expecting her to defend me. She didn't. She didn't even blink. That's when I realized this wasn't surprise. This was envy. They knew. Somehow, they knew before I did. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mrs. Hart made one thing very clear. Eleanor becomes the sole owner immediately. No guardians. No shared control." Derek's jaw locked. My mother's face reddened. My sister whispered, "This must be a mistake," but the will was real. The ink was dry. The empire was mine. Still, I didn't celebrate. Because I knew my family. They weren't done. Not by a long shot. 2 days later, I walked into Hart Haven, the flagship hotel my grandma built brick by brick. It should have felt like home. It didn't. The staff looked nervous. Whispers followed me through the lobby. Finally, the general manager pulled me aside. "Ms. Hart, your stepfather was here this morning. He told us you approved him as the new director of operations." My heart dropped. "I never approved that," I said. "Please ignore anything he said," but the manager shook his head. "He had documents with your signature forged." He forged my signature. My chest tightened. Derek wasn't just interfering, he was launching a full ambush. I called my mom. She answered on the first ring, voice sweet and fake. "Eleanor, honey, Derek is just trying to help. Running hotels is complicated." "Mom, he forged my signature." She paused, then said the sentence that told me exactly where she stood. "Maybe you should be grateful someone is stepping up." My blood went cold. My own family wanted to strip me of what grandma trusted me with. Fine. If that was the game they wanted, I'd play it. That night, I returned to my grandmother's penthouse office, a place no one had entered since her stroke. Dust settled on the desk. Her Centros and cedar still lingered. I opened drawers, searching for anything. Something to help me understand why she chose me. Why she protected me. Then I found it. A small velvet box with my name inside. I opened it slowly. Inside was a gold key and a handwritten note. "Eleanor, if you're reading this, I know your mother's husband is already circling. You're stronger than you think. Use the key. Trust no one but the ones who stood by me when I built all this. The empire is yours for a reason. Love, Grandma." My breath caught. She KNEW. She predicted everything. She even warned me about Derek before he ever tried anything. That key, I recognized it. It belonged to the hidden archives in the old hotel basement. The place where my grandmother kept confidential records no one else could access. Whatever was down there, it was exactly what I needed. The next morning, I walked into the Hart Haven basement with the gold key burning in my pocket. The hallway smelled like concrete and history. At the end was a steel door my grandma always told me was for paperwork. Inside were dozens of labeled boxes, contracts, titles, financial ledgers, original ownership documents, employee loyalty records, and something else, a sealed envelope. Labeled, my pulse raced. Inside were documents showing every illegal financial move Derek had made with his previous 2 wives. He drained their accounts. Stolen from family businesses, manipulated inheritance, even falsified medical paperwork for one woman to gain access to her assets. My hands shook. Grandma didn't just guess Derek was dangerous. She investigated him, and she left the evidence for me. I felt a fire rise inside me, the same fire Grandma carried when she built her empire. The fire of a woman who refused to be controlled. I texted Derek, "We need to talk." "At the hotel. Tomorrow at noon," he replied instantly. "Good. We'll discuss transferring temporary power to me." Temporary power? In his dreams. Tomorrow, I'd watch his entire plane collapse. That night, I attended a family dinner my mother insisted on. More like an intervention. The moment I sat down, my mother crossed her arms. "Eleanor, be reasonable. This is too much responsibility for you," my sister chimed in. "You should let Mom and Derek run things. You're emotional." That word stabbed me harder than anything. But I kept my voice steady. "You think Grandma didn't know what she was doing?" My mother scoffed. "She was sick. Confused. No, I said quietly. She was protecting me. Derek leaned forward. Elena, if you fight us, you'll regret it. Sign over management and we'll keep things peaceful. A threat wrapped in honey. I stood up. I'll see you all tomorrow. Noon. Hearthaven, my mother frowned. What's happening tomorrow? I smiled coldly. You'll see. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was scared, but because for the first time I felt ready. Ready to fight. Ready to claim what was mine. Ready to finish what Grandma started. I dressed in a black blazer that morning, the same one Grandma wore at every major deal. I walked into the hotel lobby, workers whispering, sensing something big. At 11:59 a.m., my mother, sister, and Derek arrived. Derek smirked like he already won. Let's get this over with, I nodded. Oh, trust me, we will. I pulled out Grandma's envelope. His face paled, because he recognized it. Before he could open his mouth, I placed the first document on the table. This, I said, is how this story really begins. To Derek's smirk faded the second he saw the envelope in my hand. He recognized the handwriting. Grandma's looping, elegant script. My mother shifted uncomfortably. My sister stared at the floor. They all knew something was wrong, they just didn't know how wrong. I placed the envelope gently on the conference table inside Hearthaven's glass-walled boardroom. Before we talk about who should run this empire, I said calmly, we're going to talk about who tried to steal it. Derek swallowed hard. He still tried to recover his bravado. Elena, you're overreacting. Whatever that is, I'm sure you misunderstood. I cut him off. You forged my signature. The manager sitting behind me stiffened. Security turned their heads. Even my mother went pale. I never gave you permission to act on my behalf, I said. And according to Grandma's files, forging signatures is something you've done before. I slid the first document across the table, a record of his previous financial manipulation. His history of draining bank accounts, the quiet settlements, the hidden lawsuits. My mother gasped. My sister grabbed the paper with trembling hands. Derek, is this true? He didn't answer. He couldn't. I leaned forward. Voice low and sharp. You targeted Grandma. You targeted this company. You targeted me. Derek finally snapped. She gave too much power to a child. Someone had to protect the assets. No, I replied. You wanted to control the empire she spent 50 years building. His jaw clenched, eyes darting toward my mother, but she was already pulling her hand away from his. For the first time, she looked unsure of the man she'd married. I placed the second pile of documents onto the table. These, I said, are the forged authorizations you tried to push through. The boardroom gasped softly. My mother covered her mouth. My sister muttered. Oh my God, the signatures were sloppy imitations close enough to fool an untrained eye, but obvious under scrutiny. I looked straight at Derek. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That I wouldn't notice my name being used without my permission? He tried to stand. I gestured to security. They moved closer instantly. You're not going anywhere, my mother whispered. Elena, please. This is going too far. I turned to her. Going too far? He tried to steal everything. In front of you. With your approval, her face fell, and for once, she didn't have a response. I reached into the envelope again and pulled out something small. A USB drive. My grandmother saved this for the day you tried to take what's mine. I plugged it into the boardroom screen. Video loaded. My grandmother. Alive. Clear. Speaking confidently into the camera. If Elena is watching this, then the people I feared most have made a move, she said calmly. Elena, your mother's husband is dangerous. I found everything about his past. Every lie. Every theft. Every manipulation. Do not let him near this company. My mother's hand shook violently. My sister was crying. Derek looked like he'd been punched in the throat. Grandma continued, I leave this empire to you because you are the only one with a heart strong enough to protect it. I trust you. Now you must trust yourself. The video ended. Silence filled the room. A sharp, suffocating silence. The chairman, Mr. Alden, cleared his throat. Ms. Hart, we had concerns about the recent attempts to change management. But after seeing this evidence, I think we all know who the rightful leader is. Every board member nodded. One by one. Elena Hart, he said formally, you are confirmed as the CEO and sole controlling owner of Hart Hospitality Group. My heart hammered. Not out of fear, but out of the overwhelming sense of finally stepping into the place Grandma built for me. Derek exploded. This is ridiculous. She's too young. She's emotional. She can't. Security, the chairman said. They grabbed Derek by the arms. He struggled, shouting curses, threatening lawsuits, spitting fury. But he was done, finished. Destroyed. He was escorted out of the boardroom as my mother watched, frozen, unable to move or speak. After the room cleared, I stood alone with my mother. She looked tired. Older. Like the truth of the man she chose was sinking in painfully. Elena, she whispered, I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I replied quietly. She lowered her head. You're right, silence stretched. Why did Grandma choose you? She asked softly. There must be a reason. There was, I said. She trusted me to protect what she built. She knew you and Derek wouldn't. My mother flinched. Elena, I'm sorry, but sorry didn't erase the betrayals. The dismissiveness. The quiet moments where she chose him over me. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said. I'm doing this to protect what's left of our family name. She nodded slowly. Is there anything I can do? Yes, I said. You can stay out of the company. Permanently, her eyes filled with tears, but she accepted it. She knew she lost her chance. Once she left, I walked out into the hotel lobby. The staff watched me with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. I called them together. My grandmother built this place on loyalty, honesty, and heart. That will never change under my leadership. A murmur spread through the room. Relief, excitement, belief. I continued, anyone who was pressured by Derek is safe. Anyone who stayed loyal to the company, thank you. The manager stepped forward, smiling proudly. Welcome home, Ms. Hart, and for the first time since Grandma died, I felt like I truly belonged. I felt ready. Capable. Strong. This empire wasn't just mine on paper, it was mine in spirit. And no one would ever take it from me. Late that night, while reviewing hotel reports in Grandma's office, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Derek. Of course he wasn't done. But he had no idea the next move I planned would end him for good. Derek's message, this isn't over, didn't scare me. It confirmed what I already knew. People like him don't accept defeat. They push. They claw. They drown themselves trying to pull someone else down. But this time, he had picked the wrong woman to challenge. The next morning, I walked into Heart Heaven's lobby with a calm, focused fire inside me. Today wasn't about reacting. Today was about finishing what Grandma started. My team was already waiting in the main conference room, the same room where Derek had been dragged out. Morning, Ms. Hart, the finance director said. We've uncovered more. That word alone told me things were worse than expected. She placed a folder in front of me. Inside were reports showing Derek had been quietly moving money through shell accounts long before Grandma died. Small amounts at first, larger later, subtle enough that only someone who knew exactly where to look could catch it. How did he think he'd get away with this? I asked. He assumed you'd sign whatever he put in front of you, she replied. Or that your mother would. My jaw tightened. He preyed on trust, on weakness, on love. Exactly the kind of man Grandma feared. I lifted my chin. Prepare everything. We're going to end him legally, publicly, and permanently. The entire team nodded. This wasn't just my fight anymore, it was the company's fight. Grandma's legacy. Our future. I dialed Derek's number. He answered instantly. Well, the little princess finally calls. It's CEO Hart, I corrected sharply. And I'm calling to give you one final warning, he laughed. A cold, arrogant, unhinged laugh. You think you can run that empire alone? You think you can beat me? I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. You're right, I said calmly. You have been doing this longer. Which is why I have more than enough evidence to bury you. His laugh stopped. Dead silent. You forged my signature, I continued. You attempted to seize controlling interest. You laundered funds. You exploited Grandma's trust, and now your past is catching up to you. You wouldn't, he snapped. You wouldn't dare go public. I already did, I said. Check the news. I hung up. My heart thudded in quiet satisfaction. Because even without checking, I knew Derek's world had just started to collapse. Within an hour, every major business outlet in New York had picked up the story. Derek Rowan under investigation for forgery and financial manipulation at Hart Hospitality Group. Reporters crowded outside the hotel. Guests whispered in the lobby. Employees looked relieved, emboldened, loyal. The empire was no longer under shadow, it was under my protection. But the real blow came from Grandma. I released her second video, the one she recorded months before her passing. This time, she spoke directly about Derek's manipulation, his attempts to charm his way into the family business, his history of targeting wealthy widows, his pattern of financial abuse. The video spread like wildfire. Grandma's voice became the voice of justice, and Derek became the man every investor now fled from. By noon, his accounts were frozen. By evening, a warrant was issued for financial misconduct. He crawled into the hole he dug for himself. But Derek wasn't finished. Of course he wasn't. He showed up at the hotel the next morning, disheveled, furious, desperate. Security stopped him at the entrance. Let me in, he shouted. I'm still family, I stepped forward. You were never family, I said quietly. He shoved against the guards, pointing at me with trembling anger. You ruined me. Your grandmother was senile. You're just a spoiled brat with a title. You'll fall just like she did. I took one step closer. No, Derek, I replied. You destroyed yourself. Grandma just made sure I'd be strong enough to finish the job. He lunged toward me. Security slammed him down in seconds. As they dragged him to the waiting police officers, he screamed, "This isn't justice. This is revenge." I stared down at him. "No," I said softly. "This is protection. For my grandmother. For the empire. For myself." He was gone. For good this time. My mother approached slowly, tears streaking her face. "Elena, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know he was capable of any of this." "Yes, you did," I answered gently. "You just didn't want to see it." She broke, collapsing into grief. "What happens to us now?" she asked. I looked at her, not with anger anymore, but with a sad clarity. "You can be in my life," I said, "but not in my business, not in my decisions, and not in Grandma's empire." She nodded, accepting it with trembling acceptance. "I understand," she whispered. "And I hope one day you'll forgive me." "I will," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean access." For once, she didn't argue. For weeks, I rebuilt everything Derek tried to damage. I restored employee benefits, reactivated paused projects, reopened Grandma's charity fund, held meetings with staff who'd felt powerless under Derek's intimidation. I sat in Grandma's old office, surrounded by her books, her notes, her plans. I reread her letters. I followed her principles. I honored her legacy with every decision. Slowly, the company shifted from fear to loyalty, from chaos to stability, from survival to resurrection. Investors returned. Guests returned. The Hart name regained its respect. And the staff began calling me something new. Not the owner, not the boss, but Ms. Hart, just like your grandmother. That meant everything. One evening, the estate attorney asked to see me. He placed a handwritten letter in my hands. "She told me to give you this only when the company was fully yours," he said. My chest tightened. I opened it slowly. "My dearest Elena, I knew you would rebuild what others tried to destroy. I knew you would protect this family even when they failed to protect you. And I knew that you would rise stronger than any storm I feared. This empire is yours, not because you inherited it, but because you earned it. With love, Grandma." Tears fell freely, not from sadness, but from pride. From the certainty that she had believed in me long before I believed in myself. A year later, Hart Haven was more successful than ever. Investors called daily. Staff stayed loyal, guests returned in record numbers. The last remaining piece was the gala, the annual event Grandma had loved. I stood at the entrance in an elegant black dress, greeting guests. A woman approached me quietly. "Ms. Hart," she said, "your grandmother would be so proud of you." I smiled. "I hope so," she nodded. "She would be. You didn't just protect her empire, you saved its soul." As the gala lights reflected across the ballroom, I realized something. Revenge hadn't been the goal. Revenge was just the road that led to justice. The empire was mine. My future was secure. And Grandma's legacy lived on brighter than ever.